Namaste. Welcome to the beginning of another live Sangha. I'm grateful to be here. I trust you are feeling as well as you can be in this moment, despite whatever difficulties you may be facing in life. Know that this too shall pass. Hello, beans. Welcome. Namaste, Sky Guardian. As our first guests are arriving, allow me to welcome you, and I want to do so with a prayer. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, dear beings. How are you? This prayer is from the Katha and Taittiriya Upanishad, two ancient scriptures on the identity between Atma and Brahman, the individual self and universal consciousness. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karva Vahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Vidvisha Vahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May the divine protect us both together. May the divine nourish us both together. May our study be vigorous and effective, and may we not mutually dispute or hate any. You're doing pretty good. I'm happy to hear that, dear beans. Dear Sky Guardian G, you're wondering if we can get a nice long read, sire. Well, my fellow sire, I think we can do a little longer reading. Let's see how long the first chapter is. I don't think we could read the whole first chapter, or maybe we can. It would take a long time. 40 minutes. It's looking like. I think we might have to split it into 2 reading sessions. But a good 20 minutes, I think we can certainly do. Hello, dear Jaderade. Goon Lord, welcome. I'd like to begin with a deep breath. If you want to breathe with me for a moment. Welcome. Grateful to have you here. I'd love for us to come together as fellow students of life to uplift each other, relate in one another's experience, and share positive sentiments. Dear Goon Lord, you got the book Autobiography of a Yogi per my recommendation. I'm so happy to hear that. Oh, I know that this book will spark magic within you. Radhe, oh Radhe, dear Magdalene Rain, Priya Ji, happy to have you here. You are breathing, dear Josand. I'm very happy to hear that. Welcome back, dear Count Catula. Well, I can't promise that everything that comes out of my mouth will be good, but if there has been anything good, that is a miracle. Happy full moon, dear Tarot. Thank you for sharing the live, dear Magdalene. Welcome, dear Fiddle Leaf. Oh, happy to have you here, dear Jaderade. Thank you, dear Council of Andrews. I thank you for those observations, dear Tarot, of course. You know, true advice comes when we are really able to connect, find common ground in our shared experience. That way, it's not a matter of listening to someone that has more experience than you, but listening to someone who has the same experience as you, then you know that you can find truth in it yourself directly. Alright, I'm grateful for all of you here. Thank you. Namaste, dear Anisek. I'd like to start off our Shravana with show and tell. This portion of the live stream is dedicated to hearing from you. Today's show and tell comes from my friend Macy. Macy had written a poem and sent it to me privately, and I thought it was so beautiful that you just had to hear it too. So I asked if I could share it, and Macy agreed. So without further ado, let me try my best to share Macy's poem on love. I think you'll like this. Love is all I know. Where to return to? Where am I running to? What am I running from? In a small little world, the blackest of nights in my mind, my soul knows no other way but through. And I'm lonely, but I'm guided by you. And I don't care. I'll lose it all because there's nothing else true but the love that shines. I hear their voices and the world calls on me. The hatred, the fear, the beauty, the changing. For a moment, I'm captured. Then I'm rolling back down the hill when I was 5 years old, without a care in the world. And from the outside, I'm sad, or from the inside, I'm happy, but I'm captured. I'll always be captured by love. I don't care where you're going, what you're doing, what your mind says, or if I'm in the wrong place for my body, because my heart knows love. I'll fall into it. I'll let it take over who I am. And in it, I will find that I never really left. I only found myself falling, always to return back here to my nest of love. This fear of illusion, this illusion of fear, I see it in everyone and everywhere. In noisy walls of this dark room, I know to surrender is life's only point, but I'm captive in flowers and I'm climbing up hills just to get to the view that I could see right from here. If I took a step back into love, I don't need him or her or anyone for that matter to show me, to help me, or teach me the way. I've been lost in the world for centuries. I've been lost and have still found my way. I need to let go of these places, and I hope they will let go of me. And you get it. But somehow you ponder, if what I might say is then true, that love will not make you happy unless you know that you are already it. If I continue to reach for it outside of me, I know that it will never truly be. What am I searching for? What do I want? Where am I trying to get to? To finally be happy? A brilliant soul, a brilliant mind, a love that knows no time. Settle into the unknown, settle into the pain, settle into the hatred and the wanting for things to change, because they won't. You are always going to be here. You can't be there or then or anywhere. Your mind is crumbling and crashing. Why don't you just ride the waves? needless to say, what a beautiful poem. So grateful I got a chance to share that with you. Dear Magdalene, you share, Macy, your words are like the hug we needed to receive in our current state of affairs. Yeah, I love that line, dear Fiddle Leaf. Captive in flowers. I also found it very beautiful, dear Josand. Dear grateful human, you write that our words point so clearly to the true essence of love. I see that too. You accept Macy's perspective, dear Sky Guardian. You needed to hear that, dear Jim. Beautiful. Thank you for listening, everyone. And thank you, dear Macy, for allowing me to share this with our Sangha. If any of you ever want to share something too, do check out the show and tell submission form in the link tree in the bio. Namaste. Good poem on interconnectedness, and yet how unique we are. Our unique experience of the part of the world which we are. Thank you, dear Anazak. Thank you for your heart me and finger heart. Om Dharambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Namaste, dear Inevitable. Thank you, dear Chloe. I am doing well. Thank you, Inevitable, for your trio of roses and heart me as well. Never expected, but deeply appreciated. Hare Krishna. And dear Jarrett, welcome. And thank you for your heart me. Ram Ram. Hello, dear Donzuela. So nice to see you. Dear Jim, you're wondering, who's that poem by? That poem was by a friend of mine named Macy. Hello, dear Sarah. So nice to see you too. Dear Gunlord, you ask, do I believe the concept of manifestations is a distraction rooted from the desire of the ego? I understand the place from which this question is being asked. Everything comes in different forms, and it's all about the intention we carry in our heart. If our intention is to understand that we are a part of the universe, and the universe listens to what's in our heart, we can use that. But it comes with a responsibility that we use it for the greater good. It's one thing to manifest for money or girlfriends or a new car, but it's a whole other ball game to manifest for the peace and welfare of the world, isn't it? And I find that manifestation works best when we are manifesting not for our own personal gain, but for the whole of life, which we are a part of. Thank you, dear Ursula, for your subscription. Always grateful to have you here. And I eternally look forward to how our paths are to cross and how we may learn from each other. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hello, dear David's mom. You share that your chicken friends went to a bad owner who blocked you, and you are sad and worried Oh, I share your empathy. Maybe a little heist is in order. Yeah, of course. If you want your little birdies to be taken good care of. I pray that they will be taken good care of. Yeah. Not a good sign when we share our animals with someone else and they cut off communication from us. I don't know what you need to do, but whatever is in your heart, if you need to break those chickens out of chicken jail, I wouldn't blame you for that. Have you seen the movie Chicken Run? I really like that movie. You can stage a chicken run. Well, I'm very grateful for your empathy for fellow animals, dear David's mom, and I wish you well in whatever process you are going to undertake. Ursula, you're wondering what animal friends I care for. Well, there are 2 kitties in my household. One's named Sandy, another named Shadow. And I love them lots. One thing to know about Sandy is he loves flowers. He loves to eat flowers. We cannot leave him alone with any flower or he'll gobble it up. And one thing to know about Shadow is that during the day he's very stoic. But during the night he's such a baby. And he needs attention. He's like, okay, I can't put up the ruse anymore. I do like your attention. I need it. So Shadow will cry and jump into our arms when he spent the whole day pretending like he didn't know us. Welcome, dear Shelly Belly. Welcome, everyone. And my backyard sometimes feels like a Disney princess movie, because there's all sorts of different animals that come through there. Squirrels are often coming to the sliding door at the back to ask for some peanuts, although I haven't seen Tinkerbell in a while. Or was it Stinkerbell? I think my mom named the squirrel Stinkerbell. And of course there's hummingbirds that we fill up the sugar water for. And raccoons. There's bunnies as well. And little gopher looking dudes. I don't know what they're called. Thank you for sending me and my animal friends love, dear Sherry. I echo that to us all. Thank you, dear Bobby So, for your heart me, team bracelet, cheer you up, and your Dalgona candy. Om Dum Durgay Namah. Good evening, dear Robbie. Oh, that's okay. I've been a little busy the last few days. I haven't been live streaming anyway. Took a couple days off to help some other Sangis in their personal life, and my mother's birthday was on Saturday, so 3 days were dedicated to her. 1 day for shopping, another general day for her, and then yesterday was also dedicated for proper celebration since she worked on her birthday. I'll probably be busy the next few days as well. I've got a couple interviews lined up. One of them for Tara, the author of the recent book that we finished reading. I'll be interviewing her, which is not too often that I am the interviewer. Thank you, dear Shelly Belly, for your ice cream cone. Om Shrim Mahalakshmiyai Namah. Dear Ton Ronkin, thank you for your finger heart as well. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. You're looking forward to the Tara interview, dear Fiddle Leaf. Me too. Hello, dear Olski. And thank you, dear Angela, for your heart me. Om Dham Namastandaraya. Hello, little panda friend. I'm so happy you find relaxing vibes here. Now that reminds me, we are starting a new book today. Well, we already started it the last time. It's called The Journey Home, an autobiography of an American Swami by Radhanath Swami. The last time we read the all the quotes and the prologue, and the good stuff on the front and back covers, the inner flaps. So let's actually start this book, reading the first chapter together. By the way, if you ever want to catch up on any of our readings, all of them are clipped out from these live streams, and I put them up on my YouTube channel. Yamsox Lives, the name of that. So yeah, I really look forward to starting this chapter with you. Let's dive right into this story. Make yourself comfortable. This is the first chapter. May this reading relax your mind and awaken your heart. My best friend Danny and I crept down the creaking stairway into his cool, damp cellar. Suddenly, an intuition flashed through my mind. I shouldn't be here. My heart pounded. In the middle of the room, a barbell holding weights of 250 pounds was propped on steel hooks. My classmate bragged, "My father lifts this every day." I was 7 years old, small and skinny, with short black hair, brown eyes, and a dark complexion. Touching the cold weights, I felt tiny. Danny turned to me. "Richie, I'm going to show you a big secret." Putting his index finger across his lips, he whispered, "Promise you won't tell anyone." He climbed up a shelf, reached high into a rafter, and came down with a brass key. Then, leading me to a wooden cabinet bigger than we were, he unlocked it and swung open the doors. He pointed to a stack of magazines. "Go ahead," Danny smiled. "Look at one." I did. It was filled with photos of naked women in amorous poses. My little body froze. Never before had I seen what was under a girl's clothing. It looked so strange and forbidden. "Neat, huh?" Danny asked. I nodded my head, unsure what to say. Flapping the magazine shut, I shoved it back into the cabinet. "Wait till you see what's in the drawer." He pulled it open, exposing 2 pistols and several hand grenades. My father always keeps the guns loaded, and the grenades are real. He handed a grenade to me. "Here, hold it." Holding the cold, heavy metal, I shivered. "This is pretty neat," I mumbled. Trying to hide my fear, I placed the weapon carefully back in the drawer. "Richie, wait till you see this." Danny pulled open 2 doors inside the cabinet, exposing a sort of altar. There, a framed photograph held a figure whose eyes stared ominously into mine. Horrified, I found myself face to face with Adolf Hitler. 2 armbands embroidered with Nazi swastikas had been draped ceremoniously on either side of the photo, and below hung a dagger with a shining swastika embossed in its handle. My heart sank. Hideous images flashed through my mind. I had often heard my elders speak about the recent slaughter of our relatives at the hands of the Nazis. My grandfather's family had never been heard from since 1941, when the Nazis occupied Lithuania, our ancestral home. Danny whispered, "This is a secret, but my parents hate you." A wave of heat rushed from my stomach to my throat. Why? What did I do? "Because you're a Jew. They say you killed Jesus." What? I stood paralyzed. What I was hearing just didn't make sense. My father says that even God hates you. The heavy footsteps of his parents creaked through the ceiling above us. I didn't know if I should run, hide, or cry. "Do you hate me, Danny?" "No, you're my best friend. Because you are a Jew, I might hate you when I grow up, but I hope not." My mind went blank. Locking the cabinet, Danny led me upstairs to the kitchen table where his mother was waiting, with 2 plates of vanilla cookies and 2 glasses of cold milk. She smiled tightly. A loud creak in the floor announced the entrance of Danny's father, a stocky man with a square jaw, graying crew-cut, small piercing eyes, and a half-smile that gave me chills. I felt utterly vulnerable in his presence. Could the cookies be poisoned? I now thought, but what could I do? I was afraid not to eat too. "Eat, Richie, what's wrong?" his mother challenged. I struggled to hide my misery as I ate the cookies. With each bite, I prayed to God to protect me. Pale as a ghost, I walked home. At that age, I had little power to reason. I was simply hurt, and badly. My mother greeted me with a gentle smile. She was standing in the kitchen with an apron around her waist, rolling out dough across our circular dining table. "I'm making apple strudel for you, Richie, your favorite." "Mom," I asked, "does God hate me?" "No, of course not. God loves you." Her eyebrows tensed as she placed her rolling pin on the table. "Why do you ask this question?" I was afraid to tell her. "I don't know. I guess I'm just curious." To avoid further questions, I ran upstairs to my bedroom. I believed my mother. I believed that God loved me. Lying in my bed, staring at the ceiling, I struggled to come to grasp the contradiction of love and hate, both connected to the same God. In the innocence of childhood, I secretly prayed in my thoughts or in a whisper. I'd mostly pray in bed, until I fell asleep. When I prayed, I felt a sense of shelter, and that someone was listening to me. I believed God heard me and was with me. Still, I had many questions about this divine being. Who is this being called God? I often wondered. Is he like an enormous cloud, or a shadow, nearly invisible? Or is he a friend who hears my every prayer, so real that I can almost touch him with my thoughts? I wondered. My parents, Gerald and Idel Slavin, I hope to learn how to pronounce their names more authentically as we continue our reading, were not particularly religious in a formal sense. Rather, they expressed their faith in God through their gratitude, generosity, kindness, and dedication to the family. They had grown up during the Depression, and ever since their childhoods had worked hard to support their families. While they wanted the best for their children, they were also careful not to spoil us, encouraging thankfulness for all we had and were given. In 1955, when I was 4, they had moved us from Chicago to the village of Sherwood Forest in Highland Park, Illinois, so they could raise my 2 brothers and me in an environment free from the pollution and dangers of the big city. Our tranquil neighborhood was set on flat terrain with abundant grass and trees. Children played in the empty lots and the quiet streets lined with houses that were almost identical to each other. Our little Richie is sweet, but so strange, my parents would often say. Why is he like this? I had odd habits. No one had any idea where they came from. Until I was 8 or 9 years old, I refused to sit in chairs while eating and preferred to sit on the floor, which my parents forbade. As a compromise, I was allowed to stand at the dinner table, even in restaurants. It was a common occurrence for waitresses to ask if they could bring me a chair. "He doesn't believe in chairs," my mother would reply with a shrug of her shoulders. While my parents took great care with their appearance, always dressing neatly and well, my mother had to wash my new clothes again and again until they looked old before I agreed to wear them. When they bought me new shoes, I scraped them with rocks till they looked worn. Whenever my parents had a new car, I squeezed onto the floor of the back seat until the car wasn't new anymore. Having better things than others made me feel embarrassed. I idolized the poor and downtrodden. Once my father took the family to dinner at a local country club. I disrupted everything by suddenly rushing from the table and out the door because I couldn't bear to be served by the busboy who was a classmate of mine. When my grandpa Bill found me sitting alone in our car, I explained my feelings. "It's all right, little Richie," he said. "You did the right thing. I'm proud of you." My father's father, William Bill Slavin, left a deep impression on my life. His loving nature reflected the deep-rooted belief he had in his religion. I was fascinated to observe the quiet, unassuming way he tried to harmonize his old world traditions with life in America. Often, I'd catch him praying softly to himself at family meal times as the rest of us went about eating all around him. When I reached the age to enter Hebrew school, my father could not afford to send me. Still, he strived to give me the best he could. When I turned 13, he approached Rabbi Lippis to ask for a simple bar mitzvah to bless me. The stately, silver-haired rabbi readily tutored me in the basic prayers free of charge. One day I asked him, "Rabbi, could you explain to me the meaning of these prayers?" Tears welled in his soft brown eyes, and he embraced me with an affection I will never forget. In his old-world Yiddish accent, his voice cracked with emotion. He told me, "Little Richie, I'm satisfied with your sincerity to understand the meaning of this ceremony. It is becoming rare. Rabbi, how should I pray? A wide grin expanded across his square, slightly wrinkled face. I felt sheltered by his affection. Something, I believed, every child needed. In the Talmud, he said, a book on Jewish law written by rabbis thousands of years ago, it is taught that it is better to pray to God for the strength to overcome temptations, difficulties, and doubts in order to do His will, rather than to pray for Him to do our will. On my 19th birthday, my older brother Marty gave me the debut record album of Peter, Paul and Mary, the folk trio from Greenwich Village. Their songs protested war, prejudice, and social injustices, but it was their lyrics referring to God that most stirred my soul. Leaning back to listen, I would close my eyes, drawn like a magnet to every word. The album's opening song began. Early in the morning, about the break of day, I asked the Lord to help me find my way. I'm afraid I don't know the tune, so I'll have to allow my improvisation. Again and again I listened, unaware that the simple prayer would guide the coming years of my life. In my quest for meaning, folk musicians like Pete Seeger and Bob Dylan spurred the rebellion erupting within me. But if folk music left me spellbound with meaningful lyrics, the blues struck my heart with raw emotion. The blues is all about feeling and yearning, pouring the grief of your heart into every note played or word sung, discovering relief and joy in that expression. Listening to a blues singer cry for a lost love, I would cry along for my lost love, though I didn't know yet who this was. While I was introspective, shy, and often worried about the feelings of others, my older brother Marty had a sixth sense for how to rile people. Wild like a monkey, he was called Monk for short. In 1965, when I was 14, I entered Deerfield High School, where Monk had just graduated. Seeing me, some teachers gasped, "Oh no, another Monk." From my first day of school, I was labeled Little Monk. The name stuck, although the irony of it escaped me until many years later. As a freshman, I was promoted to the varsity wrestling team. I cannot say that I was highly skilled, but when I applied my mind to something, it was with intense absorption. The coach and teammates had great hope that in the coming years I could be a champion. At first, I loved the challenge. Scholarships were mine if I pursued them. But something strange was happening to me. I began to crave a purpose in life beyond wealth, prestige, and the fads of society. How could I be content with the idyllic land of Highland Park when I knew that African Americans were imprisoned like slaves in the ghettos just miles away? How could I be satisfied with a wrestling medal when my older friends were being forced into the horrors of the Vietnam War? Haunted by such questions, I, along with my friends, questioned the very fabric of the life we knew. On a hunt for purpose, I burned with a passion for the civil rights movement of Martin Luther King Jr., poring over the words of Malcolm X and books on social reform. Along with my best friends, Bassoon and Gary, whom I'd known since we were 10, I got a job at a car wash after school and worked there full-time in the summer. It was hard work, but I loved it. Here we found ourselves working to the backdrop of soul music among older African American men from the ghettos of the south side of Chicago, a world away from the security of Highland Park. In the company of these men, who were beaten down by poverty, racial discrimination, and alcoholism, hearing the raw cry of a blues or soul singer stirred my heart. I was 15 years old and deeply troubled by unanswered questions. Then, when a close friend, only 16, died after his car skidded on the winter ice and plummeted into the frigid waters of Lake Michigan, I found myself wondering, who am I? And where am I going? It seemed that the whole world was skidding on the ice of uncertainty. In search of a sanctuary, I moved down to our basement and covered the walls with psychedelic posters that glowed under a black light. Fishing nets hung from the ceiling. Jasmine incense smoke hovered like a cloud. Sometimes I would switch on the flashing beam of a strobe light to heighten the dreamlike effect. In the privacy of my basement, I listened to the revolutionary music of the 60s. A Day in the Life by the Beatles churned my longing to seek a meaningful life beyond the superficial. When I laid back, closed my eyes, and listened to George Harrison sing, "Within you, without you," I cried with the strings of his sitar for inner peace. Over and over again, I played Ray Charles' soulful rendition of Old Man River as I sat motionless and grieved for the plight of the downtrodden. When I listened to B.B. King, the mournful notes bursting from his guitar pierced my heart, and I wondered why sad songs made me feel so good. One late night, in the turmoil of questioning everything around me, I heard Johnny Rivers through my stereo headphones singing, Look to your soul for the answer." I took a deep breath, looked up, and exclaimed, "Yes, that's it." Incited by the times, my close friends and I threw ourselves into the spirit of counterculture in the 1960s. As the minority in a school where conservatives, jocks, and cheerleaders predominated, we began to wear our hair long, to experiment with marijuana and LSD, and to generally rebel against the values of our parents' generation. But I was torn. I hated to disappoint anyone. I agonized over quitting the wrestling team and didn't have the heart to let my coach and teammates down. The school expected me to help lead the team to championships. The coach once declared to the team, "When little monk's determined to win, he's like a hungry tiger pacing the mat. He's champion material, but he seems to get distracted." Confused, I prayed for a way out. Soon after, in a prestigious tournament, I pulled my opponent down in the first 5 seconds of the match. The crowd roared, cheering me on, but I knelt as if paralyzed. My shoulder had been yanked out of its socket, and the bone ripped through the muscles of my chest. Pain stabbed through my body. At that moment, with the dislocation of my shoulder, my life was dislocated from a passion that had already died. Trembling in agony, as hundreds in the gymnasium looked on in shock, I silently thanked God. I was free. What I didn't have the courage to give up myself had been cast aside, I felt, by the power of destiny. Let's pause our reading of The Journey Home there for now. Thank you for listening. What a tremendous introduction to our story. Powerful storyteller. Our dear author is Little Richie, aka Little Monk, later to be known as Radhanath Swami. I can see why he was pressured to write the story of his life, already off to a monumental start. Well, I very much look forward to continuing this story with you as we read next time. Namaste. That concludes our Shravana section, dedicated to listening from new experiences. Now my attention can return to the comment section, and of course we can explore whatever in our heart and minds. Pardon me. If anyone ever has any insights from what we read, you're more than welcome to explore them with me. I'd love to hear them. But let me transition scenes to the Manana scene, dedicated to Q&A and processing our experiences. And welcome everyone who joined while we were reading. Hello, dear Melinda. Oh, you're very welcome, dear Donsuela. You are always so attentive to the readings, and I'm grateful that they mean something to you. Hello, Amanda. Thank you to those who sent a gift while we were reading and had the patience for me to acknowledge now that I have a moment. Dear Ursula, thank you for the heart me and 10 team cheers. Om Kring Kāli Namah. And Angela, thank you for your heart me and 30 roses. Om Sadhyo Jatam Prapadhyami Sadhyo Jataya Vai Namo Namah. Bhave Bhave Nati Bhave Bhavaswabham Bhavod Bhavaya Namah. Dear Davis, thank you for your heart me as well. Om Hrim Namah Shivaya. Thank you, Dub Darker, for your heart me. Radhe Radhe. And Goddess Triple Raven, thank you for your pair of Dolgana candies. Rose, tiny tiny, yippee, and a finger heart. Om Kamalyar Mahakali Kaye Namah. Thank you, Colette, for your heart me. Ram Ram. Dear Jarrett, thank you for your rose too. Jaya Sita Ram. Thank you, Anizek, for your 39 roses. Om Aim Saraswatyai Namah. And Olski, thank you for your finger heart. Om Vastudevataya Namah. Always grateful for the support, even though it's never expected, never necessary. Dear Olski, you are wondering, have I read the measure of moving force, or read about the measure of moving force in relation to momentum versus energy? What is the formula for kinetic energy? Isn't it mass times velocity, 1/2 mass times velocity squared? So the kinetic energy is proportional to the mass and proportional to the square of its speed. And momentum is just mass times velocity. So the difference between momentum and kinetic energy is a factor of the velocity. Yeah. They have different units. Thank you, dear maid Jartayanda, for your heart me and team bracelet. Om Shri Hanumate Namah. Oh, you're very welcome. You just wanted to know that? Or if you wanted to explore that idea more, we certainly can. Happy New Year. Yeah, it is the Orthodox Catholic New Year, isn't it? If we go by the Julian calendar, when the Julian calendar was swapped over in the West to the Gregorian calendar, the days got set back something like 13 days, which would make sense. Today is the 13th of January. To account for all of the leap years that the Gregorian calendar would have implemented. Some people still use the Julian calendar, like Orthodox Catholics in the East. Hello, TRG. Lovely to have you here as always. Dear Orphic Dreams, thank you for your heart me and pair of quintets of team bracelets each. Om Tham Namaschandraya. Dear G, were you successful in going to skate? I wish we had some outdoor skating rinks where I live, but I don't think we have the climate for it. Therefore, I haven't skated in a long time, which is ironic, considering my mom works at a place where you can skate. If I wanted to go skate for free, I have the perfect mother for that. Jim, you were wondering if I am in college studying anything. Not at the moment, but I did intend on studying math and physics, which I did for about 4 years. Although of those 4 years, the amount of times I showed up to class was probably less than 100. Yeah, it's not my proudest statistic. Needless to say, there were other things in my life that I needed to prioritize. But I do have a long-standing passion for math and physics. Don Suela, you share that it's also the Mahakumbh Mela today. Ah, it is indeed. Yeah. Something like every 12 years, there is a confluence of 3 holy rivers in India called the Kumbh Mela. The confluence of the Yamuna, the Ganga, known as the Ganges by the first Greeks, and that unfortunately caught on, and the mythical Sarasvati River that is said to live underground during those 12 years, but surfaces every 12. And 12 12s makes 144. Every 144 years, therefore, every 12 Kumbh Melas, there's the Mahakumbh Mela, the great Kumbh Mela. It's going to be the largest gathering on earth. there's going to be more people gathered for the Mahakumbh Mela than there are people in the United States. Something like 500 million people. So it's going to be a logistical nightmare, that's for sure. But I should tell you the significance of the Mahakumbh Mela, or the Kumbh Mela in general. These three rivers are also within us. We have a spine, and in the chakra system, the system of energy centers, the spine is known as the river, the nadi, called Sushumna. And Sushumna is a secret name for Saraswati. And spiraling around the Sushumna are two other nadis called Ida and Pingala, that represent the sun and moon principle. You know when your Ida and Pingala are flowing when you can breathe through your left or right side of your nostrils. Or your right and left side of your nose, your right and left nostril. Every now and then, you'll notice that you can breathe through both your left and right nostril. That's known as an inner Kumbh Mela. But when Saraswati herself also flows, when you take that time to meditate, that's the best time to meditate. It's called the Brahma Muhurta, the hour of God, the ultimate hour. Then the Sushumna Nadi in your spine also flows, and you may see a white light appear when you close your eyes. Usually happens at around golden hour, when the last light from the day is passing by. Also around 3 or 4 in the morning, when the first light is parallel, tangent to the horizon. Thank you, dear Orphic Dreams, for your hearts and hanging lights. Om Namah Krim Ambita Me Shoring Nadita Me Haring Devita Me Aing Sarasvatyai Swaha. You're interested to know more about that, dear Olski? Yes, it's for a long time scientists have known that our left and right nostrils, they have many nerve endings that run parallel. So different breathing techniques through your nose has different effects on the nervous system. We have 3 parts of our nervous system. We have our sympathetic nervous system, our parasympathetic nervous system, and our central nervous system. When we breathe through just one side, we can engage our sympathetic nervous system. When we breathe to the other side, we can engage our parasympathetic nervous system. When we breathe through both, we can engage our central nervous system and balance them out. These correspond to Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna, or in India to Yamuna, Ganga, and Saraswati. In Indian philosophy, it's believed that everything in the body mirrors something else in the world or in the universe. For example, we have our prana, our breath, but the world has vayu, wind. We breathe with our breath, but the world breathes with its wind. We see with our eyes, but our solar system sees with the sun. We are rooted by our feet, but the world is rooted in its soil. for example. Everything seems to have a sort of fractal nature. I concur, dear Chloe. What a great observation. Yes. Hello, dear Taylin. Dear Hunter, you're wondering if these are pajamas. Actually, this is a button-up shirt. I don't think you'd wear a button-up to sleep. But if I zoom out, I am actually wearing pajamas down there. So you're half right. Your intuition was there. I figured if you don't see my pants, I might as well be comfy. Dear Olski, you think it was me who told you about the sun illuminating the moon and that representing consciousness? Ah, what a good connection, indeed. The sun and moon represent two of our antahkaranas, our inner faculties. Manas and chitta, respectively. The mind, the moon, and the chitta, the consciousness, or the sun. Our consciousness is like the sun that illumines the mind that is like the moon. The sun is ever blazing, all the same. The sun doesn't go through phases. There's no crescent sun, there's no full sun, there's no new sun, there's no half sun. Sun is sun. Although it does go through solar cycles, but that's a different thing. The moon, however, is widely known to go through cycles, its phases. Just like the mind. The mind is always churning, turning, various emotions, patterns. The metaphor here is that even when it appears that the mind is changing, the light that illumines it is not. Its source is forever whole. That is like our consciousness. I see the truth in the literal connection too, dear Olski. Goodbye, dear Mina. I know y'all Americans are worried about the TikTok ban. We'll see what happens. I think it's rare that something that has the capacity to make a lot of money will ever be truly shut down. But maybe there will be a temporary shutdown. Anyway, this isn't the only platform that I'll be on. You're always welcome to join other platforms, and I'll of course, if there truly is a shutdown, then of course I'll consider streaming from other platforms too. For the Americans, for example, even at the moment, I always post these lives on my Yamsox Lives YouTube channel. And the Discord server is also up if you ever want to join. All of that is linked in the link tree in my bio. Anyway, all about the present moment. And my inboxes will remain open. Dear Orphic Dreams, you ask if the sun represents... sun and moon represent long and short-term memory. I see that. Absolutely. In fact, kind of mixing two concepts together when I say that the chitta is the consciousness, it can refer to both the consciousness or the faculty of memory. There's a deep correspondence between memory and consciousness. Yeah. Chit, that's C-H-I-T, chit represents consciousness, but chitta, C-H-I-T-T-A, is the faculty of memory. And the sun indeed can be compared to the likes of both chit and chitta. Dear Orla, you share that you really hope to see some live streams on YouTube or something someday. But you are not the only viewers. That is true. And certainly, I can explore many modalities. Never feel like anything I do is set in stone simply because I've been doing it this way. If anyone ever has suggestions or recommendations, I am always open. I will always reflect the wishes of the Sangha. I see, dear Mina. That makes sense, how this experience would be similar to the one that you experienced in Pakistan. But I will always be flexible. and I care about you. If for some reason you are unable to watch it, don't consider yourself insignificant. I'll absolutely keep that in mind and try to find a compromise that works for the most. Dear Starlighty, thank you for your heartmate, team cheers and team bracelet. Om Aghorebhyo ta Ghorebhyo Aghora Ghore Dharebhyam Sarvatah Sarva Sarvebhyo Namaste Rudra Rupebhyam. That's the spirit, dear Donsuela. Humans are clever and resourceful. Regardless of the outcome of TikTok, people will find a way. Always nice to have you here too, dear Nanda. Now, I have a question of the day for all of you if you're interested in exploring it together. It's nice to have you too as well, dear Olski. Today I'm wondering, what is the inner child? I love to reference the topic of the inner child, but what truly is the inner child? Pretend I don't know. Pretend you are explaining it to a child. Whoa, shares Jim. I get the questions, not you all. Oh, I love to ask you guys questions too. There's so much that I learned from all of you. What a question, shares dear Nanda. Please, I would love to hear your responses and stories. I'm not looking for a right answer, nor will I point out a wrong answer. Fiddle, if you share, the part of us that loves, is curious, plays, and is free. I love that. Guy Guardian, you share, the one that gets mad, frustrated, that is your inner child. I see a polarity there. Olski, you share, It is God. I like that. The highest self. Good Lord, you share the unrepressed inner light of being. Oh, I love how these answers mesh together like puzzle pieces. Riri, you share the part of us we forgot after taking on other people's ideas, perceptions, and values. Beautifully spoken. Dansuela, you write, the inner child is your truest self, the part of you that lives without the fear of judgment. Oh. Opa! Crossfires, you share the part of you that still believes with zero doubt and no fear. Chloe, you share your memories, feelings, and dreams from when you were a kid. That is our gateway, indeed. Orphic dreams, you share the inner child is the innocent, fragile, playful, imaginative side of ourselves, unindoctrinated by adults. Those pesky adults, hey? Ugh. You don't know, shares Nanda. I think there's a part of you that does, but knows beyond words. Oski, you share. The inner child is the untouched essence of you. Beautiful. Plus a sense of wonder, adds Chloe. Dear 7th letter G, you're wondering, how can you follow me if they shut down TikTok? We were just talking about that, yeah. Well, you're always welcome to find me on other platforms. You go to the link tree in the bio. My inboxes are open on Instagram, WhatsApp, Telegram, email. You can join the Discord server. Hridaya Kasha. Watch us on YouTube and I'll explore other modalities too. I'll cross that bridge when I get there. Jim Terry, you share, you think the inner child is maybe the innocent first breath that ignited life to man. Oh, whew, that was good. Shivers up the spine. Shiver me timbers. Neon Jello Pack. You share the pure, unfiltered expression of who we were before societal conditioning. I love the overlap in these answers. I see Matt. You share the part of you who is always curious and excited. The voice of innocence, adds Olski. And Chloe, you share, how about the spirit of play? I love that. Jim, you point out that God said that we must be like a child to inherit the kingdom. Oh, how beautiful. And thank you, Waterwind, for your heart meme. Om Mani Padme Hum. The unhealed wounds. And Olski. These are so good. I like your sound effects, Riri. Bubbles, you share the quality of the self that behavior was not yet defined by the societal conditioning of others. I like this. I like this theme that many of us have pointed out of the untouched essence. That's very understandable, dear Miller. It's quite alright. I actually haven't been live in the last few days either, so you haven't missed much, but I wish you lots of time to process your feelings, whatever that looks like for you. May you give yourself that space to grieve. I am sorry for your loss. Much love to you and your father. Dear Orphic Dreams, you ask, does the third eye awaken the inner child? You ask that question one way, but let me ask this question in return. Does the inner child awaken the third eye? Oski, you add, it is the sacred fragment of the soul. Thank you, dear Cosmic Flute. Starlighty, you share the pre-trauma version of ourselves, the part that craves being cared for with a gentle hand. I love that. Oski, you share, it seeks reunion with the eternal. Hello, dear Mirna. Dear Mimi. That's my nickname for you. Mimi. Dear Jared, you share the inner child is the very essence of love, an infinite power for you to tap into and use. How empowering. Thank you. Dear Orla, you share, you used to believe inner child was the most authentic self, but the wisdom of life feels holier all the time. I see both of these things as one and the same. Dear Raju, you share, it is curious how so many people see the child as something so new, but isn't it also a result of ancestry? Ah, I love that. Just like the soul cannot be described by time, we can say that it is both eternal and ever new. Thank you, Pharaohgraphy. Much love and many wishes for blessings for you. And thank you, Waterwind, for another 23 roses. Om Som Suryaya Namah. Chloe, you share, you think we still have that unblemished innocence. It's our awareness without concepts. Tatastu. And Orla, you point out that perhaps the inner child is just raw, unconditional, infinite love. And in a single Sanskrit word, Fiddleleaf shares, Anahata, the name for the heart chakra, short for Anahata Nada, the unstruck sound, the untouched. Indeed. Thank you, Orphic Dreams, for your team bracelet. Om Som Somaya Namah. Pure light before the shadows creep in, you add. I'm so happy to see the love directed towards dear Miller. Sunshine Coast, you ask, how to get rid of worries? That's the tricky part, isn't it? If you are experiencing worries at this time, I pray that you find relief. You're not alone. If we try to get rid of them, however, they just come back. It's like a rubber band. The more you pull away, the greater tension there is for them to return, perhaps at an even greater speed and energy. So we have to find a more out-of-the-box approach. Instead of thinking of worries as something to separate yourself from, what if you kept them with you? What if you allowed your worries to be there, but instead of letting them take control, just listen without reaction. Hear the worry as a valid voice in a symphony of voices, like a choir of genuine expressions in ourself from the life that we've lived. And acknowledge it like you were a king with a council of advisors. Your advisors, one by one, share their concerns for the kingdom, and you stay centered, allowing these things to come to you, letting anything be done if necessary, if not, thanking them for the story they bring, and directing that part of you to some other purpose. We can be grateful for that sense of carefulness that's built into the system. The system wants to be alive. The body is here and it's saying, hello, I'm alive. But it's a precious thing, and something so precious, something so vulnerable needs to be taken care of. Naturally, if those voices get amplified, it may seem like all other voices are being drowned out within us, and there is only danger. But it is just an experience that arises like any other thought, like any other feeling, like a passing cloud, like a passing car. We don't have to do anything about every passing moment, passing experience. Allow it to be, acknowledge it. It will transform into something new. Thank you, Tattwamasi, for the quintet of roses you had sent. Jai Nisargadatta Maharaj. Bubbles, you shared makes you laugh when we can make something profound by restating reciprocally. Ah. A true mirror does not actually reflect exactly what is being shone on it. A true mirror is an active process that rearranges exactly the same incoming light in new ways to point out what exists at a deeper level than the surface. You know when someone's listening to you, when they're able to say the same thing back to you, but in their own unique way. Just as we were taught in school, we're not allowed to plagiarize, but we are allowed to paraphrase. I think we are naturally switching topics a little bit, but there were still some wonderful answers to our question of the day. But I look forward to Mirna coming back. Olska, you had added that our inner child is a bridge between earthly self and divine source. I love that. Yes, dear Sky Guardian, the inner child is the one in you that kept inviting people to my Discord server. Well, I forgive you. Orphic dreams. You were unsure of my question that I reflected back on you. How is the inner child within the adult undiluted by all the adult has learned? Consider the analogy between the four elements: fire, earth, water, and air, and the often forgotten fifth element, the quintessence, space. No matter how hot space is, sorry, blah, 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 let me re-say that. No matter how hot fire is, space never gets burnt. And yet, space is what holds fire in it. No matter how fast the winds are blowing, space is never tugged along the way. Space is never uprooted from its firmament, even though space is what holds all the wind. No matter how polluted the soils of Earth may be, space itself never gets tainted. It is always capable of holding the Earth just the same. You could never truly bury space. And no matter how strong the currents of water are, you could never drown space, yet space holds it just the same. So space is very different compared to the other four elements, because no matter what the workings are of those four elements, space always remains the same. The inner child is like that. So you share, our inner child grows with us, huh? As long as we don't forget them. Indeed. And Myrna, you share the little prince of Saint Exupery. What is Saint Exupery? This is a new word for me. Exupery. I like the sound of that. Exupery. Oh, it's a name, Saint Exupery. An author, a French writer. Well, you'll have to tell me more about that, dear Myrna. I would love to know. And thank you, dear Neon Jello Pack, for your quintet of finger hearts. Om Bhur-Bhuvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om. Dear John Simon Ritchie, thank you for your heart, me too. Om Ham Jum Sa Namo. I messed up the Sandhi. Let me repeat that mantra. Om Ham Jum Sa Namah Shivaya. And dear Raju, you asked, for me, what is the Om Mani Padme Hum? Well, this is a mantra that comes from the Buddhist tradition. On each side of the mantra we have bijas, seeds. Om is the cosmic syllable known as the pranava. If you listen within your heart, you can still hear the sacred vibration of the Big Bang, and its sound is Another powerful bija sound is at the end of that mantra. It evokes protection, medicine for the spirit. And in the middle we have the word mani in Sanskrit, which means jewel. Just like the name for the solar plexus chakra in Sanskrit is Manipura, which means city, pura, of jewels, mani. Padme is the locative form, a certain grammatical case of the word Padma, which means lotus. Locative is a grammatical case in Sanskrit that relates what you're referring to in something. You're locating something in another object, for example. Whereas English generally uses prepositions like in, like the word in. Sanskrit modifies the ending, so Padma becomes Padme. Instead of the lotus, it becomes in the lotus. So, Aum Mani Padme Hum means the jewel in the lotus, literally speaking. What is the jewel in the lotus? Well, what is the jewel? A jewel is a treasure. A jewel is precious. A jewel refracts light. A lotus is life. It blossoms. It grows. And it radiates symmetrically all around. Beautiful petals. The lotus also grows from the mud. The lotus does not start off beautiful. It grows deep in the murky mud. It goes through waters which are often polluted, but then it blossoms on the pond free from any dirt. Even water rolls off. It's hydrophobic. So what is the jewel in the lotus? What is the treasure in that beautiful suffering of life? Now this I cannot tell you. This you have to keep chanting. Om Mani Padme Hum. Alright, I'm way in the past. Forgive me, there's lots of comments to catch up on. Jim Terry, you point out. What is the inner child? It's like a spark that wanes and flickers, and when it fades, the windows to the soul look dim. Beautifully spoken. How poetic. Riri, you share the inner child is enamored with everything around them, even the sock on your floor. Even the sock on your floor. Oh, I have lots of fun games to play with socks. You know, we use them as puppets. My mom would put them over her ears and she'd pretend to be an elephant and she'd sing a song. Welcome, dear Dynasty. Much love to you. Trace in Space, you share the inner child is the inner family system that most wants to protect your peace. I love that. Orphic Dreams, you had asked, is it okay to cry? It is more than okay to cry. It is a privilege to cry. Oh, what a beautiful opportunity that is. Yeah, so healing is crying. Never pass up an opportunity to cry. Baljit, thank you for your cap. Om Namah Shivaya. And thank you, Orchid Dreams, for your octet of roses. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Dear G, you have returned with a Sangha drink and an answer to our question of the day. Several minutes ago by now, I'm sure. Your inner child is the true north within your soul. I love that. Dear Nick, Nicked in the house, you ask, is doing mushrooms dangerous for the brain? There is lots of research still ongoing It unfortunately was criminalized in many places around the world right around the time that we started studying psychology really seriously, sincerely in the West. Fortunately, in the last few decades, many places have been decriminalizing it, including where I live in Canada, and that has opened up a lot more room for trials and research. So much is still to be done, understanding how it works at a scientific level. Undoubtedly, it's psychoactive. It does interact with our neurochemistry, and I wouldn't be surprised if it makes many connections. Anyone who has had that experience will tell you that you definitely think differently after having that experience. It's like an amplifier for what's already in our experience. It doesn't give you anything new per se, but it does take the things in your experience and dial up the percentile so that you have to face them, sometimes in very visual ways. They become projections of our subconscious. It's ultimately unnecessary because it engages with a system that we can naturally find ways to activate through thousands of years of various meditative practices, including breath work. But I would be very careful that if you are going to use it, that you make sure your set and setting are absolutely as wonderful as they can be for you. If you have any fears, that also gets amplified, just like, anything else. If you have lots of joy, that gets amplified even more. If you have curiosities, your wonder goes through the roof. If you love music, your love for music just increases. But also some habitual psychological problems. Those can also be extenuated sometimes. So it's really important that we go through the experience when we have a nice, healthy relationship, at least in that moment, with your mind. Take care of your mind. Some of you have pointed out, when we were talking earlier about space being untouched by the things in it, that space does change. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, there's a relationship between the curvature of space and the energy content in it. So what holds space? That's a beautiful question. What is space itself curving into? What holds the four-dimensional shape of space-time? Now that is consciousness. Space is a great metaphor for consciousness, but it does have its imperfections because even space is ultimately material. It has a beginning. Our local beginning of space happened 13.7 billion years ago. But consciousness, does that have a beginning? Thank you, Baljit, for the septet of roses you had sent to him. Om Ram Bhairvaya Namo Namah. Trace in Space, you had asked, do I believe that the inner child is something the ego must separate from to speak to or be integrated? I prefer the path of integration. There are generally two spiritual paths, pravritti and nivritti. Pravritti is the path of integration, where you seek to expand your sense of self to include everything. The complement of that path is Nivritti, where you seek to exclude everything to become nothing, nobody. They're both absolutely valid. I personally prefer Pravritti. So I would say to integrate the inner child as a part of yourself. Fiddly, if you have a grammar question, does Sanskrit have the same cases as Latin? Good question. I don't know the cases of Latin. They're both Proto-Indo-European, or they both come from Proto-Indo-European. So they share much of their grammar. Sanskrit has 8 grammatical cases: the nominative, vocative, accusative, instrumental, dative, ablative, genitive, and locative. Let's see what Latin has. Latin has 6: nominative, vocative, accusative, genitive, dative, and ablative. So Latin is missing 2 cases that Sanskrit has. It's missing the instrumental and what's the other one? Is it the genitive? No, it has the genitive. The locative. The instrumental and the locative. Hello, dear Dynasty. From another part of Canada, I see. Yes. I'm on the west coast, on Vancouver Island. Dear Orphic Dreams, you ask, is consciousness atomically structured? What a great question. Consciousness is very subtle. Currently, we have never been able to detect consciousness under any scientific setting, other than the general, oh, he's awake. There are different ways in which we use the term consciousness. There's a medical definition of consciousness, which is, you know, if their brain is functioning properly and they are interactive, you know, they're responsive is the word. But as far as physics is concerned, we haven't been able to identify what exactly conscious is, physically speaking. Currently, there are many theories, like consciousness being an epiphenomenon of neurochemistry, of the electrochemical reactions happening in the brain and nervous system. All science knows thus far is that whatever it is, it's non-localized. That there's nothing in particular that we can pull out and say this is consciousness. It's something shared. The ancient Eastern belief is that consciousness is not physical, and therefore we will never find anything called consciousness. Why? It's actually really funny. It's almost obvious. It's in plain sight. There's nothing you can do to find consciousness because consciousness is the one finding. As Chloe said, fire can't burn itself. A knife cannot cut itself. Consciousness is the witness. You're looking for the one that's looking. Therefore, it's actually, by definition, out of the domain of science, vacuously, because science is the study of objective phenomenon. But consciousness is by definition not an object of our experience, but the subject of our experience. It is that which is subjected to objects in the form of sights and sounds and tastes and smells and feelings. Therefore, it must be something categorically different from anything that you can see or hear or taste or smell or feel. If you could identify anything in our experience as consciousness, then that would be like opening up anything like an apple and finding the apple that you're opening up inside the apple. And there's a mathematical law that strictly forbids such a recursion. It's called the axiom of foundation, that no set can contain itself. In the same way, us as consciousness, we're looking for something in our consciousness called consciousness. But how can consciousness be inside of consciousness if consciousness is the thing containing that which you're looking for that's possibly going to be identified as consciousness? A paradox, that is. So I can confidently say that consciousness does not have an atomic structure. It has no structure. Not made up of atoms, not made up of anything. It is the space of atoms and energy and everything. It is the field, the kshetra, it's called. Or the knower of the field, the kshetrajna in Sanskrit. The pure Chaitanya, awareness itself. Thank you, dear hurdy-gurdy, for your heart me. Om Arm Arm Ashvinibhyam Namah. Forever Mystica, you had an answer to our question of the day. Namaskaram. Is this me, Ananda? You share to you the inner child is the creative force of Shakti. I love that. So it is the inner child. Beautiful connection, dear Orphic Dreams. It is me, Ananda. I love that. Anthony, you share that the inner child is the part of you that is always thinking. Always yapping. Thank you. Is it Rayu? Is the J pronounced more like a Y? Yeah. Is it Rayu? Option 1 or Raju? Option 2. Is it a palatal semi-vowel or a palatal plosive? Number 2, it is Raju. Okay, good to know. Just wanted to double check. Dear Anthony, you ask, have I heard the analogy of God dreaming something so real he didn't know he's dreaming? Well, it reminds me of the answer to the ancient riddle. Could God create something so powerful that he himself could not stop? And Myrna, you shared there is an inner child in every wanderer and wanderer. I love that. And what is that force? It is love. Yes, dear Jai. Not even God can stop love. This is true. In Hindu scripture it said that God has free will over everything except love. God has no idea what you're going to do with love. Now that is your dominion. God can't even predict who you're going to fall in love with. Thank you, dear rich homie Jake, for your good night. Om Khang Jahnavyai Namah. Dear Dynasty, you're wondering, what is that language of the chants I speak? No, you asked that question perfectly. The language is Sanskrit. Very ancient language. We know that it was spoken at least 3,000 or more years ago. And it's still spoken, which is amazing. A language that never died, even from antiquity. Sanskrit is my first choice language to describe spiritual things. It's amazing. The culture of India, in which Sanskrit thrived thousands of years ago. No other language has such technically precise terms to describe deep philosophical and spiritual concepts. English doesn't compare at all. From words like Brahman, which comes from a root Brh, which means to expand. Brahman represents the all-expansive nature of consciousness in a single word. Or how about a word like karma, which I'm sure everyone knows, which literally means action, comes from a verb kar, which means to do, to act. How there is such a deep philosophical significance surrounding the concept of action itself, and how our actions have consequences, and how our intentions shape how we feel about the outcome, and whether we become bound by them or not. Words like yoga, words like chakra, or correctly pronounced as chakra, words like guru, words like mantra, words like Kundalini, they all come from the ancient language of Sanskrit, which is said to have been revealed by God at the beginning of each cycle of humanity. It's my favorite mantra to thank gifts, because it's a little blessing in such an auspicious soundscape. Speaking of which, thank you, dear Babel Fishy, for your rose. Om Kāli Mahakali Kāli Ke Parameshwari Sarvananda Kare Devi Narayani Namostute. Nanda, you had an answer to our question of the day. The inner child is a sense of safety. I like that. Ari, you share the inner child is the part of you that wants to crash out. The inner child needs a good nap. Now, that's what you mean. Dear Mirna, you ask, Is there a difference between Hindi and Sanskrit? Oh yes. It's like the difference between English and Latin. Ultimately, many parts of English come from Latin. But English speakers cannot natively understand Latin. Nor by understanding Latin would you be able to be fluent in the nuances of English. So too is the relationship between Hindi and Sanskrit. Hindi is a very recent language. Many of its words come from Sanskrit. But understanding Hindi is, you would certainly not be able to learn Sanskrit. And knowing Sanskrit, unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to speak Hindi. They're very different languages in that regard. But there's a huge Sanskrit influence on Hindi. They do, however, use the same alphabet. So, by learning the alphabet of Hindi, you would be able to have probably 90% of an ability to read Sanskrit words. You might not know what they mean, of course, but you'd be able to pronounce them if you were able to learn the alphabet, which is actually not an alphabet, but an abugida of Hindi called Devanagari, which means it's a beautiful name. Devanagara is city of the gods. Devanagari means citizens of the city of God. In India, they revere their language as so holy that the letters themselves are called citizens of the language of God. Alright, Ari, you tell me, you meant crash out, like stop taking crap from people. Oh yes, inner child's good at that. So Mirna, you ask if Hindi and Sanskrit have the same words for men, women, boy, apple, banana. They have different words, but maybe part of the Sanskrit remains. I don't know. Dear Mrs. Charm, you ask, how did I learn Sanskrit? Well, I'm still learning it. It's a language that takes lifetimes to learn. You can spend a whole lifetime just exploring the soundscape itself. This is true. Not because it's complicated, but because it's so beautiful. That there's always something more beautiful to uncover. Another secret, another mystery. But I learned by using the resources that are available on the internet. You know, just looking up how to pronounce each letter. I started with that. And then, of course, being in various contexts in which Sanskrit words are often used or invoked, you slowly begin to build your vocabulary. Hey, I recognize that word. Or, I've heard that mantra before, and then you start looking up little terms. What does this mantra mean? What does that word in this mantra mean? And you start to expand your vocabulary like that. I'm happy to hear of your relaxation, dear Deanna. Dear Chloe, you had asked, do I know very much about Zen Buddhism? Zen Buddhism is a paradox in that there's nothing really to know about it. And you can get really deep in all there isn't to know about Zen Buddhism. Riri, you ask, what is the root of the word Kundalini? Kunda, which means pot. Lini means feminine energy. So Kundalini means the feminine energy in the pot. What's that? What's the pot? Think about the metaphor of Kundalini as being like a snake, a serpent. I'm sure you've seen the iconography of snakes coiled up in pots. And when there's a snake charmer, snake coils up out of the pot. When the snake is in the pot, you can just put a lid on it and there's no danger. When the snake comes out of the pot, oh, you have to be careful now. For us, the feminine energy, the snake represents all of our dormant potential, impressions, energies. And the pot represents our deep, sub, or even unconscious. Like a storehouse, we have collected so many impressions from endless past lives. The amount of data that we're experiencing through our eyes and ears. The amount of thoughts that a person has in a day. Oh my goodness. Where does that go? Well, it leaves an impression on the consciousness, and those impressions sink down deep until they are most needed. You can awaken that dormant potential. That's called Kundalini, the feminine energy in the pot. Thank you, dear Orphic Dreams, for your paper crane. Om Namah Parashaktaye. You're very welcome, dear Riri. And you asked if I traveled to India. Physically, not in this lifetime, but my heart sure has. My body just has yet to catch up. Dear Real, you ask, do I cry often or hardly? A genuine question. I believe in the genuineness of this question. No, I don't cry often, but when I do, I cry very deeply to make up for it. Some people cry a little bit every day. I cry a lot of bit every several months or so. It just comes out. It's like I'm saving up. You know, when you get an allowance when you're a kid, you can either spend that every month on or every week on candy, or you can save up your money and then you can buy something really big, like a video game console. I like to save up my crying currency, and then I pay for a very beautiful and profound experience that sometimes lasts for hours. Although I have found in the last 10 years of my life, I've been crying more and more at movies. I used to never cry at movies, but now I cry almost every time I watch a movie. I don't watch movies often though. You're like that too, dear Chloe. It'll only get worse, shares Jim. Yeah. I remember challenging myself with, some short film that said, you will cry by the end of this. Like, pff, yeah, right. I'm a guy. I don't feel my feelings, I just repress them. And of course, not even 5 minutes into it, I'm just, oh my goodness, what happened to the child? And I actually really value that experience now. I'm so grateful for that. whatever, Mystica. You share, you just came from the movie Wicked, and you did cry a little bit. Oh, that's beautiful. Dear Anthony, you ask, do I still come onto the live stream and smile for us, even when I'm sad? Oh, you know, I don't know how to answer that, because I'm always happy when I do these. No matter how I'm feeling when I begin, after even 5 minutes goes by, I'm always feeling happy. I'm so happy to be here, truly. Yeah, there are things in my life that make me sad. Yeah, if I'm feeling really sad, I'll just take a day off from live streaming, attend to my feelings. But I'm very blessed that not a lot of sadness has been affecting me in the last year or so. I feel like it's a miracle. And at any time, I feel like it could go away. But I've really been more happy than anything else. And every time I go live here, I'm always super happy. Also, something really changed for me a year and a few months ago. Happiness and sadness started to bleed together, and I could hardly distinguish them, because there's something really euphoric for me about sadness too. When there's something really deep that our heart feels, even if it's sadness, I notice that it blossoms into a kind of happiness if you let it. It's really strange to explain, but if you've experienced it, then if you know, you know. That at the same time that I am so joyful with all of the possibilities in the world, I'm also heartbroken in a most beautiful way. Yeah, melancholy and the infinite sadness. Like, I've learned to love sadness as a part of me, and it doesn't take away from my life, but adds to it. I have a hard time distinguishing it from other feelings now, because it all feels good. Riri, you share similar relationship. You have no aversion to any experience and appreciate every emotion equally. That's so beautiful. I love that. You make me feel less alone in that experience. You relate as well, dear Samra. Yes, many wishes for your nephew and for your family. It's so nice to see people helping in hard times, people supporting one another. There's so much good that can be done. Just that possibility is a wonderful thing. Dear Anthony, you ask, is it self-destructive, though, for you to self-sabotage just to milk the stimulation of deep sadness? There's plenty of sadness in the world. You don't need to add to it in order to experience it. Just turn on the news. There's already enough heartbreak in the world for you to draw deep feelings from. Take care of your body, take care of your mind. We can be grateful for these emotions when they arise, but we should never force any emotion. Let them come and let them pass. Yeah, dear Chloe, We connect in that sadness and vulnerability. G, you share, if I want to cry, watch Big Fish movie. Big Fish, hey? Alright. Dear Anne, you ask, do I ever get anxious? Oh yeah. All the time. You've seen the movie Big Fish, dear Orla. Myrna, you always feel like a big fish. You love that movie. Oh, with such wonderful Sanghi sharing their praise, I must watch it. Anthony, you share strong emotions. Just connect you to your truest self. Some people just need a drama movie instead of a comedy. I like that. Or how when we're feeling down, we just need to listen to a really sad song. It's so simple. When you're sad, be sad. Don't try to be happy when you're sad. Try to be sad when you're sad. There's nothing more invalidating than telling someone to be happy when they're sad, right? You're sad, stop doing that. You're sad, don't. Bad. Be happy. Never works. But if you allow yourself to be sad, let those tears flow. Put on a sad movie. Put on a sad song. Yeah. Don't self-deprecate, but find a medium for those feelings. Feels good to be sad when you allow yourself in that way. Hello, dear Stevie G. Feel all the feels. Dear Rick, you ask, surely I get asked this a lot, but can we explain what is karma and how does it work? This is a very nuanced subject, and even if I spent like an hour, I think we'd still have questions remaining. What makes this such a subtle concept is because we have many ideas of what karma is already based on how we use it informally in our language. So karma to many people, maybe I can differentiate between karma and karma. There's the English way that we use this word, karma, which is, all actions have consequences, that what you put out, you get in return. That there's good kinds, there's bad kinds, and it's this mysterious force, karma. But it comes from an ancient philosophy called karma yoga, which is Sanskrit for union through action. Yoga means union, karma means action. Literally speaking, just literally, it means action. Or activity. So everything that you do is an action, it's a karma. When you breathe, that's karma. When you sing, that's karma. When you eat, that's a karma. When you walk, that's a karma. When you wave your hands like this, that's a karma. Because these are all actions, in the most general sense. There's another word that often gets confused for karma, and that's phalam, which means fruit. The fruit of an action, which is a metaphor for the result. We often refer to karma not as the action, but the result of an action. But really we're talking about something different from karma. Technically speaking, we're now talking about the phalam. We're talking about the fruit. The main idea in karma yoga is that there's two ways of living life. You can live feeling like you create the outcomes, or you can live feeling like the outcomes are out of your control. The spirit of karma yoga is the second one, which is kind of ironic for a reason we'll talk about. In ancient scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita, chapter is like the third describe that the outcomes are always created by the divine. The phalam, the fruit, is always in the hands of the divine. Sometimes you do your best, you do your hard work, and it's like you get punished for that. Even though you tried your best, you get a negative result. You study really hard, you do everything you can, and you fail the test. Other times, it's like you barely even did the minimum, and somehow you're rewarded for that. Sometimes you don't study at all, and you go and you hang out with your friends instead, and yet you get the highest grade in the class on the test. This is karma. This is the nature of action. It's almost the opposite taught in ancient scripture as we understand it, and it's really beautiful. Why? That you can do your best and still get a negative outcome. You can do your worst and still get a positive outcome. So the idea is to separate yourself from thinking about outcomes at all. What's most important is not whether you pass the test or not. It's the action itself that you should value, the quality of the action. Are you satisfied with yourself, with your study? Do you feel like you did a good job studying? Then it doesn't matter whether you pass the test or not, because the validation comes from within. You're free from the phalam of the karma. You incur no karmic bondage to the result. Now, even if you pass the test, but inwardly feel like you could have studied better, then that is a sign for you to achieve more of a union with your action, more of a karma yoga. Even if you fail the test, but inwardly you feel like you did as much as you can, then you're in karma yoga. So, the ancient law of karma states that consequences of our actions are out of our control. All we have to do is do our best and feel authentic in the action itself. That it doesn't matter what comes from the action, that's in the hands of the divine. What matters is that you feel strongly about what you're doing in the moment. That you help not to save a life, but because you like to help. You study not to pass a test, but because that's what it means to be a good student. You go to your job not to make a living, not to gain money in return, but to serve people. But the point of an action is never to gain some result or avoid something else. It's to find true self-expression in the moment of the activity itself. Then you're truly present. You're truly one with the now. That is karma yoga. Thank you, dear Starlight Storm. Starlight Storm. Nope. Your name is Silent Storm. Silent Starlight Storm, perhaps. Thank you for your heart meme. Om Vamadevaya Namo Jeshtaya Nama Shrishtaya Namo Rudraya Namah Kālaya, Namah Kālavikarnaya, Namo Balaya, Namo Balavikarnaya, Namo Balapramathanaya, Namah Sarva Bhuta Damanaya, Namo Manonmanaya, Namah. I'm happy that explanation resonated with many of you. The idea is, if you can make peace with all possible outcomes beforehand, in the intention just to see this action as an authentic expression of self, then that is the greatest gift, to have that opportunity to engage with the world in a certain way. Then no matter what outcome, we are happy, because we don't feel like we were shorted out on, or nor do we take pride in the result if it happens. We stay humble, but because we know the greatest gift is to engage with life at all we have is our actions as markers of who we are. And thank you, dear Regina, for your heartmeat and quartet of flowers. Om Namo Maya Shakti. Dear Stevie G, you had an answer to our question of the day. The inner child is the divine feminine. I like that. Yeah. Touches upon our topic of Kundalini earlier. Dear Julie, you share you're struggling with sobriety. It's so painful. If I have advice, you would be grateful. Love how open you are to change. Many people are not at that level yet, and you can even take affirmation in yourself that you are ready. That is half the battle done already. Really. Many people are not willing to admit that they have a problem. Many people are not looking for advice because they don't want to question their behavior. Your vulnerability and your humility is the first and most necessary step to success. And you've already completed that just by asking. Thank you. I may have a very different experience with the things that I've been addicted to in my life. But I can say that I do know what it's like to be addicted to certain substances. For me, it was nicotine, vaping. I was also able to stop drinking, but it was never really an addiction for me anyway. And other substances. But the one that I really struggled with for a while was nicotine. Having a supportive friend group and family was so important. Just having people you can do things with to pass the time is great. Because if you're alone by yourself, of course, our habitual patterns are going to creep up in our mind and may even get us to relapse. So if you can surround yourself with a positive support group, that's wonderful. If you can let people know that this is what you're going through, they can just be an ear if you ever need to express your feelings. Trying to understand the root cause of the addiction in the first place is a really great step as well. You know, what is it that I'm sacrificing? Clearly, maybe this substance helps me process, or not process, helps me suppress maybe some feelings that you don't know how to process. feelings of intense grief or worry, or feelings of not fitting into this world, oftentimes we turn to such negative coping or unhealthy coping mechanisms because they help us hide from something that really should be attended to in the full light of awareness and consciousness. So if we can be brave and address some of the deeper causes, as uncomfortable as that may be, you can take out the weeds from the roots, so to speak, rather than feeling like you just have to keep trimming the sprouts that come from the roots. And one more thing I will recommend is having faith in something bigger than yourself, whether you call it the divine or the universe or some mythical being called Bob. I don't care. But as long as you feel like there's more than just you doing the work, it's incredible how much that idea helps, that it's not just me who is resisting, who is pushing through, that there's a kind of grace that's helping me, bigger than myself. A lot of that weight can be dropped off our shoulders, for example. And I may be an ocean away or more, but if I can ever respond to a message, I'm always happy to keep my inboxes open for you. Instagram, WhatsApp, Telegram, email, whatever works for you. Try to go through my messages every day. And have people that are role models in your life. You have to know what you are aspiring to replace your current habits with. Instead of thinking entirely about what you're trying to take away, what are you trying to add? What is something that you do want to see? Just like in Indiana Jones, The Temple of Doom, the first movie, when Indy finally navigates to the central room, there is the golden idol. And he wants to take the golden idol. But he has to replace it with something because it's weight sensitive. Fortunately, he gets it wrong, but in theory, fill up a bag of sand with just about the same weight, and you gently slide the golden idol off while you're sliding on the sand, and you can take away with the gold and leave the sand behind. In the same way, an addiction may be like the sand that we seamlessly replace with something else that's good, that's more healthy. So you don't feel like it's all of a loss, or it's just a loss, like you're just losing something, and then you're left with vulnerability and nothing else. But you gain something in return. What is it that you're gaining? Let go of one rung of the ladder to hold on to something higher, and you keep climbing in that way. Dear David's mom, you share your friend doesn't have TikTok, but I would get along. Am I on another platform? I do post my live streams to YouTube. All of these live streams and various segments are posted to Yamsox Lives. And my messages are always open on Instagram, Telegram, WhatsApp, and email. And there's a Discord server called Hridaya Kasha. All of that is linked in the social media icons in the link tree in my bio. Much love, dear Bree. And nice to have you here, dear Brandon. Of course I remember you. yes, you've come so far in your journey, and this is perhaps the most perfect point for you to have joined, given that you are such a role model and having gone through these things yourself. And thank you for your galaxy. It's very kind of you. Om Ishana Sarva Vidyanam Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Brahma Dipati Brahmanodhipatir Brahma Shivo Mestu Saeva Sada Shiva Om. Early you had asked, what is the best way for us to celebrate the full moon? Well, I encourage fellow Sangis to join in on this. I'm sure there are many celebrations that you do. I would love to learn from all of you. But the moon represents the divine feminine. And when she is in full, it means that she is reflecting the light of the sun directly at us, which represents the divine masculine. So it's a time of union between our masculine and feminine. It's the masculine, by the way, representing our source. Feminine representing the expression, the divine expression that brings purpose to that source. So the moon reflecting the light of the sun means that the feminine becomes a gateway to a deep sort of stillness within us. So things like song and dance and art and all kinds of creative processes are means of using the complement of stillness, dynamism, to find a deeper kind of stillness, you know? When you are in that flow state, everything is moving, but you within are perfectly centered and still. That is how the power of the feminine can be used on these nights. That we are centered amidst our dynamism. So dance, so sing, so yell at the moon. Make art, make love. Use that expression to find wholeness. You wrote a song tonight, dear Rhiannon. Oh, how lovely. A song perhaps you'd be willing to share for the show and tell. Maybe another time. Dear Brandon, thank you for the 120 roses you sent in addition. We can all go home feeling like we have a rose thanks to you. Dear Arlie, you will be dancing in moonlight earlier. Or you were dancing in moonlight earlier by a lake. I love that. Orphic Dreams, thank you for your 55 roses too. That's very kind of you. Om Ram Brahmane Namah. Hello, your biggest fan. I will still be here for you, regardless of what happens with this app. Wherever you share for full moon night, you can sit in the grass at midnight and meditate with the intention of illuminating your relationship with her. I love that. Marianne, you share the best way to handle a full moon is stay indoors, avoid people, and cleanse with long showers and naps. I like that too. Dance like a crab, shares Rhiannon Clark. Brandon, you share your daughter celebrates by saying, the moon's so bright. She loves the stars. and moon and sun so much, it's awesome. She has an eye for it. And she sees herself staring back at her. Cosmos is her secret name. Dear Stevie G, you're wondering if we could go over the spiritual stuff that was talked about Friday. Oh, we talked about many things. Is there anything in particular that you wanted to talk about? Enzo, you had asked, how can one be less reactive and more action-oriented in authenticity? Being proactive is true authenticity because a reaction isn't you. Now is it? A reaction is the default. How does that express who you are? When you are a live and active process of life, a reaction is just going by old programming, possibly determined by experiences that were out of our control or influenced by other people in our life. True action is to truly be yourself. So perhaps when we notice the urge to react arise, realize that that's not us. The reaction isn't truly embodying how we feel at a deeper sense. Yes, there's a default. That default may be anger. That default may be panic. That default may be attachment. But that's all determined not by us. What would you really like to do? In this moment, in your spontaneity, in the instantaneousness of the moment. Your free will. Create that space between you and the reaction. And in that space, decide for yourself. What do you want to see in the world? Become that. Imagine that each action was a role model interaction, as if it would be studied by generations to come. As if you were watching the scene play out before your eyes and you were merely a witness. What would be characteristic of all the values that you hold true within you? Become that. Thank you, dear Anazek, for your heart means as well. Om Kring Kāli Kaye Namah. Much love, dear Brandon. Thank you for stopping by. And Starlight Wow, thank you for your flowers too. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dear Rick, you ask, how can one access or express the masculine side? You think you have rejected yours. You know, it's a tricky question to answer because the feminine is expression herself. All expression, by definition, is the feminine. You can't actually express the masculine. This is true. It's like the canvas behind the painting. A good painting hides the canvas. But the canvas is not simply hidden for the purpose of suppressing it. No. The purpose of the painting is to fill what's in the canvas. The masculine, there's nothing about it to express like a blank canvas. It is the stillness, the solidarity of infinite potential, just waiting to be manifested. Femininity is the expression of masculinity, and masculinity is the purpose of the feminine. They have a twofold relationship in that way. The most masculine thing you can do is be feminine. And the most feminine thing you can do is be masculine. The best way to uphold the value of a canvas is to paint over it. And the best way to appreciate the painting is to understand that it wouldn't be there without the canvas beneath it. It's a beautiful paradox. That really isn't a paradox, but just is more counterintuitive. Masculinity really isn't anything at all. It's the space of exploration. And what you do with that space, what you discover within it, that is the feminine. Thank you, Mr. Blue, for your trio of ice cream cones too. Om Namo Buddhaya. Dear Forever Mystica, you ask, isn't Shiva a representation of the masculine that describes destruction? In the Trimurti, in the Trinity of divine forms, Shiva represents finality. His power is often described as destruction, but he is not destructive. In fact, destruction is feminine. Creation is feminine. Preservation is feminine. All of the powers of the divine, they are all feminine. Destruction may be the Shakti, the feminine power of Shiva, but Shiva is not destruction. Shiva is the state of being destroyed. Shiva is the lap in which that destruction takes place, the oblivion. In the same way that God is not the creator, but the space for creation. In the same way that Vishnu is not the maintainer, but the field of preservation. All activities are carried out by the feminine. This is the definition of the feminine. She is action herself. She is power. She is force. She is expression. She is all that can become, all that is. Whereas the masculine is merely the lap in which that takes place. It cannot be seen, cannot be heard, cannot be touched. It cannot even be known. For it is the one that sees, the one that hears, the one that feels, the one that knows. Subject and object. Thank you, dear Aquarius lady, for your tiny yippee! Thank you, American girl in Dubai, for your heart me and pair of roses. Om Dakshinamurtaye Namah. TVG. Yes. We were talking about that on Friday. Yeah. How the source and the creator are different things. Although in the West, in our Abrahamic faiths, we do associate creation very strongly with the source. They are one and the same. But in the East, the creator is actually seen as feminine. And the source is something different from the creator. Creator is just one expression of the source, as is preservation, as is destruction. Oh well, I'm happy to unlock some ideas to explore, dear Francis. Hello, dear Christina, and thank you, Deanna, for your heart me. Om Shrim Mahalakshmiyai Namah. Dear MD, you ask, can we talk about Kāli? Of course. Kāli is a beautiful word in Sanskrit. It's an adjective. It's a feminine form of the adjective Kāla, which can both mean space or time. Beautiful. Way before Einstein even unified the idea of space and time, there was the Sanskrit word that represented space-time as one object, and that was Kāla. The feminization of that adjective is Kāli. When used in its space-like way, Kāli means dark complexion, just like outer space. When used in a time-like way, Kāli means the destroyer, the one that brings about the end, because time has a habit of bringing things to their finality, naturally. Kāli is revered as one of the highest forms of the Divine Mother, as space-time herself. She is the ultimate force of bringing things to the end. Just as we see space as the final frontier, as time as that which brings things to their demise. The Divine Feminine is worshipped as Kāli, as space-time. She represents all of the dark qualities hidden within us. Like when a mother has to fight for her life, you will see a very different side of the feminine come out than, you know, the expectations that society may places on her. Society might see the feminine as something dainty and quiet and polite and pretty, but Kāli, oh, she slashes through all of those boundaries of what limits the feminine. Kāli raises her voice. Kāli does not listen. Kāli does not care if you think that she is pretty or not. Kāli is going to be the ugliest thing that you could ever experience, and yet the most beautiful in the same way. She has blood pouring out of her. She recognizes her menstruation is not something to hide, but something to spill out and cover everyone with. Oh, now that's a force of the feminine that you should not be reckoning with. That's for sure. Kāli is here to destroy you. And the feminine will do that. And she is divine. She is the most powerful force that can be. She is a boss. And she is our mother. And who doesn't want to have a scary mother at times? You know, the idea isn't to scare you, her child. The idea is to scare away anything that might threaten her child. Right? If there's a monster under your bed and your mother is Kāli, oh, you sleep soundly, knowing that nothing is scarier than your mother. At times. Yes, her form of destruction is ordered to build something up, like protest, like activism. That's all Kāli. And Bhairava is the masculine counterpart to that, yes. Although it's kind of funny, because what's super unique about Kāli is that she generally is unassociated with any masculine counterpart. Many deities in Hinduism they come in pairs. You know, there's Sita and Rama, Shiva and Parvati, Krishna and Radha, and then there's Kāli. Who is Kāli's masculine counterpart? No one really. Kāli is independent. She's an independent woman. if she's ever depicted with a masculine form, she's literally depicted stepping on the masculine. This is true. And if you haven't seen it, let me bring out my Kāli statue. Here is my statue of Kāli. Here she is, tongue sticking out, 1,000 heads, 1,000 arms. Many people might have a mala of tulsi wood or rudraksha beads. No, Kāli meditates on human heads. These are the heads of her enemies and her devotees all at once. Doesn't matter if you're her enemy or you're her devotee. She'll cut off your head and she'll chant her mantras on it. So where's the masculine in this picture? Being stepped on. This is the form of the feminine that overpowers the masculine. But yes, anyway, there is an equivalent of Kāli, kind of, and that's Bhairava. It's a fierce form of Shiva, who she is stepping on. Clearly she wears the pants in the relationship, though, so to speak. Like in Haka dance, yes, like the dance of the Maori. It's a very powerful, fierce expression. Forever Mystica, you ask, is Durga an avatar of Kāli? Yes, there is the same mother. All forms of the mother are the same. Just like when your mother is angry at you, it's the same mother as the mother that reads you a bedtime story. The mother that reads you a bedtime story, that is Radha. That is more akin to a form of the mother that's full of bliss and love in a very gentle way. When she's disciplining you for not doing the dishes or taking the garbage out, well, that's a Durga. But if someone were to, come and threaten the family, maybe break in, then that would be Kāli that comes out. Just different forms of the same mother. Like mother, maiden, and crone. Exactly, Chloe. Or Saraswati, yeah. Saraswati would be the one reading you a bedtime story. There's lots of symbolism here, though. Like, her many heads represents the heads of the mothers all around the world. Many arms, just the same. She has thousands of heads. Why? Because she is there within all of us and all the mothers around the world. And they act as kind of like one entity. Oh, if we could awaken that power within the feminine in the world. What a power that would be. Thank you, dear Shakira, for your heart me. Om Kāli Kai Namah. Dear Usha Priyaji, thank you for your flowers, team cheers, and nonet of roses. Om Brahm Bhairvaya Namo Namah. Orphic Dreams, thank you for your bubblegum. Your pair of bubblegums, in fact. Radhe, Radhe. I think we are too. Yeah. Jai Kāli Ma. You're hoping your music will help. Oh, your music is already helping. dear Rhiannon. Magdalene, you share. You'd like to think we are. Absolutely. Yes. You are right. Speaking of which, I would like to meditate on Kāli. Yes. This is our bridge to our meditation tonight. We will be doing some mantra japa in honor of Kāli. Let me transition scenes to our Nididhyasana. Your inner child sent me bubbles. Thank you, Orphic Dreams. There's no surprise that there are many mothers here whom I certainly revere as Kāli when you want to be, and different forms of the divine. I wish to awaken a sort of reverence for that divinity here and empower that form of the mother. So let me bring up our meditation. Today's mantra is a very powerful one. It's a series of bija mantras to awaken the Dark Mother, that is Kāli. We'll be doing it 108 times on a mala typically associated with Kāli, which is made of black agate. The mantra goes like this. Kring, kring, krim, hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālike, krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Very powerful. There are some pointers for the pronunciations, like any vowel you see with a line over it is inherently long, double length. The A sound is always inherently long, so there's no bar on that. The M with a dot under it is known as the Anuswara, the inner sound. It's a nasalization that's often at the end of various bijas. So instead of cream, you can even keep your mouth open, but create a resonance in your nasal cavity by arching your tongue up, blocking the flow through the oral cavity. Kring. Good vibration to it. And for the R's, the S's and N's with the dots below them, you form these retroflex, meaning you curl your tongue back. So instead of dakshine, it would be dakshine. Has a bit of a darker sound to it. Now, let me read to you a little bit about what this mantra means and the significance of Kāli. She is revered in the Shakta traditions as a powerful manifestation of the Divine Mother. Shakta traditions are various traditions that live in and around India that worship goddesses much more primarily than gods. She is both fierce and deeply nurturing. She's often seen as the destroyer of ignorance and obstacles on the spiritual path, guiding devotees beyond her illusion, Maya, toward liberation. As we were saying, her name is linked to Kala, meaning time or space, underlining her role as the unstoppable force of change and transformation. Despite her formidable appearance, she is also known for her fierce compassion, embracing those who turn to her with sincerity. This mantra weaves together potent seeds called bijas, which include Krim, Hrim, Hom, and Swaha. Hrim carries Kāli's transformative energy. Hrim resonates with the creative, motherly force of the cosmos, and Hom is associated with protection and banishing negativity. It's the same bija at the end of Om Mani Padme Hum. Invoking Dakshine Kālī specifically addresses her protective aspect, and closing with the bija Swaha signifies an offering of devotion. Repeating this mantra 108 times is a sacred practice, as 108 symbolizes cosmic wholeness and the convergence of spiritual energies. Through repetition, practitioners deepen their focus, calm their minds, and gradually align with Kāli's fearless grace. The vibrations of the mantra are believed to clear emotional and energetic blockages, helping devotees transcend self-limiting beliefs and gain inner strength. Over time, this practice often inspires self-confidence, resilience, if you ever want to do it more than once, and a profound sense of connection to the Divine Mother. By regularly chanting and meditating on Kāli's protective presence, one can develop greater insight, courage, and spiritual clarity, ultimately experiencing the liberating and compassionate power that she embodies. So, without further ado, I will start just after the Guru beat, and I will end just before it. I will start at a reasonable pace, but I may pick up speed as the flow is naturally found. This is the first time I'm chanting it together with you. Let me turn down the background music for this. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike kring 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim 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 Kring, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Kring, 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 hring, hring, dakshine kalike. Kring, 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 hring, hring, hom, hom, swaha. Kring, 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 hring, hring, dakshine kalike. Kring, 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 hring, hring, hom, hom, swaha. Kring, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Kring, 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 hom, hring, hring, hom, hom, swaha. Kring, 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 hring, hring, dakshine kalike. Kring, 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 hring, hring, hom, hom, swaha. Kring, 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 hring, hring, dakshine kalike. Kring, 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 hring, hring, hom, hom, swaha. Kring, 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 hring, hring, dakshine kalike. Kring, 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 hring, hring, hom, hom, swaha. Kring, 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 hring, hring, dakshine kalike. Kring, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Kring, 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 hring, hring, dakshine kalike. Kring, 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 hring, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Kring, 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 hring, hring, dakshine kalike. Kring, 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 hring, hring, hom, hom, swaha. Kring, 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 hring, hring, dakshine kalike. Kring, 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 hring, hring, hom, hom, swaha. Kring, 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 hring, hring, dakshine kalike. Kring, 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 hring, hring, hom, hom, swaha. Kring, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Kring, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Kring, 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 hring, hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Kring, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Kring, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Kring, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Kring, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Kring, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Kring kring krim hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim krim kring hrim hrim hom hom swaha kring 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike krim 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 hrim hrim hom hom swaha krim 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 hrim hrim dakshine kalike Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hum, hum, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hum, hum, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hum, hum, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hum, hum, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hum, hum, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hum, hum, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hum, hum, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hum, hum, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hum, hum, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hum, hum, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hum, hum, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hum, hum, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hum, hum, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hum, hum, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hum, hum, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hum, hum, swaha. Kring 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 Harim Harim Dakshine Kalike Kring 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 Harim Harim Hum Hum Swaha Kring 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 Harim Harim Dakshine Kalike Kring 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 Harim Harim Hum Hum Swaha Kring 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 Harim Harim Dakshine Kalike Kring 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 Harim Harim Hum Hum Swaha Kring 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 Harim Harim Dakshine Kalike Krim 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 Harim Harim Hum Hum Swaha Krim 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 Harim Harim Dakshine Kalike Krim 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 Harim Harim Hum Hum Swaha Krim 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 Harim Harim Dakshine Kalike Krim 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 Harim Harim Hum Hum Swaha Krim 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 Harim Harim Dakshine Kalike Krim 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 Harim Harim Hum Hum Swaha Krim 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 Harim Harim Dakshine Kalike Krim 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 Harim Harim Hum Hum Swaha Krim 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 Harim Harim Dakshine Kalike Krim 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 Harim Harim Hum Hum Swaha Krim 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 Harim Harim Dakshine Kalike Krim 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 Harim Harim Hum Hum Swaha Krim 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 Harim Harim Dakshine Kalike Krim 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 Harim Harim Hum Hum Swaha Krim 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 Harim Harim Dakshine Kalike Krim 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 Harim Harim Hum Hum Swaha Krim 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 Harim Harim Dakshine Kalike Krim 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 Harim Harim Hum Hum Swaha Krim 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 Harim Harim Dakshine Kalike Krim 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 Harim Harim Hum Hum Swaha Krim 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 Harim Harim Dakshine Kalike Krim 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 Harim Harim Hum Hum Swaha Krim 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 Harim Harim Dakshine Kalike Krim 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 Harim Harim Hum Hum Swaha Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 ho, hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, dakshine Kālī. Krim, 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 hrim, hrim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 harim, harim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 harim, harim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 harim, harim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 harim, harim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 harim, harim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 harim, harim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 harim, harim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 harim, harim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 harim, harim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 harim, harim, hom, hom, swaha. Krim, 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 harim, harim, dakshine kalike. Krim, 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 harim, harim, hom, hom, swaha. Salutations to Kāli, space-time herself, as the Dark Mother. May this chant awaken a reverence in us all for the parts of the feminine that are hiding, waiting to come out. And may our inner Divine Mother come out when she is needed in the form of Kāli. Namo Namaha. Namostute. Namaste. Thank you for chanting or meditating along with me. That concludes our meditation for tonight. And with it, our Nididhyasana, the final portion of our live stream dedicated to integrating our experiences. I'm happy many of you enjoyed that. Very powerful. My whole body is tingling. Good vibrations. Speaking of which, let's let our background music rejoin us for the last few minutes of this live stream as we say our goodbyes. Thank you, Mr. Mystic 108, for the heart me that you had sent. Om Gring Kalikaye Namah. Thank you, Starlight Wow, for your tiny Thank you, dear G. You inspired me. Thank you, dear Magdalene, for sending love from Divine Source to everyone's heart. Thank you, dear Dansuela, for being a part of the beauty of the Sangha. Good night, dear Julie. Hello, dear Lucio. Other me. That was so nice. I'm glad you could participate, dear Nanda. I hope Vishnu doesn't feel cheated on. All forms of the divine are of the same essence. Oh, thank you, dear Dansuela. You are all in my heart too. Much love, dear Lumi. Glad you could feel the power, dear Chloe. May you all have a continuous good moment. I like that. I echo G. Fellow Sangis, let your love shine. Kāli will do the rest. Good night, dear Chloe. Thank you, dear Anazek. Hello and goodbye, dear Zach. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Kāli takes my voice away. That's good. Takes my breath away too. It's hers. She can have it. Thank you to my lovely moderators for helping keep the peace in this space. This whole live stream is going to be uploaded to my Yamsox Lives YouTube channel, along with the meditation, with its own playlist. It'll be cut out additionally. And the reading, we started a new book recently, The Journey Home. So if you want to read the prologue and the first chapter, that'll be up. We read the first chapter today. The prologue is already up in this moment. Much love, dear G. You're very welcome, dear Stevie G. Sounds like a good plan, dear Riri. May we continue this moment in ways that take care of this body, this mind. I am definitely going to put food in this body. You're very welcome, dear Zach. Namaste, dear Soli. I have a feeling my alarm went off while we were chanting. I was too dissolved amidst the bliss of devotion to Kāli. Yeah. Breakfast for you, dear Myrna, all the way in Lebanon. Dinner here, it's much past dinner for me, but it will be my breakfast, incidentally. I love a good 10 p.m. breakfast. Hello, nice to see you anyway, dear Hybrid Jen. Just to let you know, you all, that I've been a little busy lately, and I probably will be busy the next few days with interviews, so I don't know when the next Sangha will be, but I'll be free by the end of this week for sure. May this live stream be an offering to the divinity within you. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to the light, from death to deathlessness. May there be peace in us. May there be peace in our environment. And may there be peace in the forces that act on us. Good morning, dear Ragnhildur. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. A beautiful chant. One more time. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. I echo your message, dear G. To all of you, you are believed in and loved. Alright, let us say goodbye. Thank you for being here. And I wish you the most beautiful rest of your day, whether it's your night or evening or afternoon, morning, something in between or beyond. Whatever time it may be for you, may you have a most wonderful rest of your present moment. Namaste. I would like to leave you with a little ding ding. There are my ding dings. Namaste.